at the Maasai Technical Training Institute in the heart of Kajiado, about an hour's drive on a good day from the capital, Nairobi, and about an hour from the Namanga border. So we are literally in the heart of Kajiado County and Maasai country. Now, we have a great show for you today, and we have a great audience here at the Maasai Technical Training Institute. In fact, I'll just greet them in the way I know best. And the King. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, it's going to be a good show today. Great panel of guests, including the governor, the county speaker, and the women's rep from Kajiado County. We have representatives here all along the room, and outside we have a spillover with more and more people. It's going to be a great show. Talk about the issues affecting Kajiado County. Before we go to our panel of guests, there's a package prepared by KTN's Dorcas Wangira on the challenges, the problems, things affecting Kajiado County. Let's take a look.
Kajiado County, a vast expanse of the Rift Valley. Captivating features lie within the collage of hills and plains. Kajiado is a county of stark contrasts: the rural, the urban, the nomadic pastoralists, the rising number of settlers, the cosmopolitan way of life, and the cultures that refuse to die. The allure of Kajiado is in its resources: land, wildlife, minerals, proximity to the capital, and the border town of Namanga that is a gateway to Tanzania. Opportunities abound for trade, tourism, and real estate.
Tunashukuru maana wametutengenezea mabarabara. Maana mabarabara ilikuwa mbaya na tunaona sasa wakingangana kutengeneza mabarabara.
The population is growing too fast. The land, however, is not. Disputes over ownership have been and still are a critical issue.
Hakuna kitu na kwa shida sana. Watoto hawana haki ya shamba ama mama. Si wako na haki? Na kwa nini shamba ikiuzwa unaona tu shamba imeenda na labda hata wao hujasai na watoto hawajui.
I know matters land are very emotive. We have a lot of issues across the county, and the system we are working on has been rotten for a long time. And we are working to make sure that the system is up and running and is following justice.
Kajiado derives its name from Orkejuado.
It's like a Maasai name, meaning a very long river.
Yet,
kiangazi mamaliza ng'ombe, Wamasai wanaangaliaga hizo. Hakuna kitu kingine wanaweza kuwa wanaangalia.
We have made boreholes and we have managed to supply water to various places. For example, in the Kajiado town there was no water. Completely, there was very little water. Now there is a plenty of it. Apart from the one in the borehole, there is this fresh water that comes from my Tok. It's also pumped here and people are also getting it. We have also managed to put a water tank and a pipe bridge in Musenge, where we have served about 2,000 families with water.
The promises of devolution, some say, are yet to be fulfilled.
Hapa sasa hospitali ya Kajiado ni wengi ya private na ndio yako na madawa. Hapa Kajiado hakuna madawa.
The light of the law and education continue to eclipse the practice of FGM.
We cannot be used as a primitive community, ati bado tunakaa kwa giza, ati hivi na hivi, ati tunataka pesa, wamama wamekuja wamepiga demonstration, wanataka wasichana wafanyia tohara. Hiyo kitu hatuwezi kubali.
Wakati hiyo ilikuwa kitu ya muhimu sana. Alikuwa hata hawezi kuoa mwanamke hajawaleka. Lakini sasa sababu tumesoma tukaona kutaishwa kwa wanawake hata hakuna kwa Biblia au hakuna maana.
Kajiado has been touted as one of Kenya's richest counties. However, the red light comes to the distribution of wealth between the rich and the poor. The problems are many, but the solutions can be found with the people themselves. Dorcas Wangira, KTN, Kajiado County.
Thank you very much. That was KTN's Dorcas Wangira with the issues, the problems, the challenges affecting Kajiado County. Now, since this is a live interactive program, we'd like you, the audience, viewers, to take part in this show. So our Twitter handle is @UNDP Kenya. You can also tweet us @KTN Kenya or tweet me @Koinanga Jeff. The hashtag is Sikika Sasa. Kwa sababu kama si sasa. More energy, more energy, more energy. Okay, let's introduce our guests. Starting with the man in the middle, the governor of the county of Kajiado. Please welcome David Kedianye. To his right is the women's rep, and do not let her name fool you because her name is Mary Senator for some reason, but she's actually the women's rep. Please welcome Mary Senator. And on the far left is the Speaker of the Kajiado County Assembly. Please welcome Johnson Ole Osoy. I keep saying, folks, this program is about you, the people of Kajiado County, so please ask the questions. It's all about you. At the end of the day, it's not about us. It's all about what happens in Kajiado County. And let me start with the questions, just so that to warm things up. Governor, I just heard in that piece there by Dorcas Wangida that this county, this name derives, it's I guess the name from the river all Kajiado, and yet water in the 21st century, people walk for miles to get water. How on earth do you explain that to people, Governor, with a name named after a river?
Thank you, Jeff, and welcome everybody to this show. I'll go straight to the issues. All Kajiado River is a long river. Yes. Over time, we have seen that river drying up. Very many reasons. Sand scooping, degradation, and this is not something that happened after Governor came in. It has been happening over many years, but we are doing something about it. We are having sand dams. We are having controlled sand harvesting. Since we came in, we've done quite a bit to make sure that the sand is controlled. The way we collect that sand, which stores the water, is regulated. And we've done quite a bit of work. We are not yet there, but I know within this term or towards the end of this term, we could see that river flowing again in some parts of it. But yes, actually we have challenges with water, and we have done a lot. We've sunk boreholes, we have dams, and we have provided a lot of water. Not enough, but we have brought quite some change in the provision of water.
With the people in this audience, would you agree with what the governor just said? That a lot has been done? Hamuna Yofraha, you don't believe what the governor's saying? There's a little murmuring, Governor. There's some who don't agree with what you're saying.
Yes, but that's acceptable. But generally, if they are quiet, it could also mean consent.
Okay, Mary Senator. And I have to be careful not to call you Senator because the Senator is actually in the room right here.
Yes.
You're the women's rep. I guess the biggest issue affecting women here, other than FGM, and we'll get to that in a moment, is education. Education, still a big issue. What have you done in the last 18 months you've been in office? And I know it's a new office for women's rep. What have you done to uplift the quality of standard of education for women?
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, education really in this county, it has been a very, very big problem. And the literacy percentage is very, very high. But I still appreciate that there is some big change right now because we have so many number of primary schools. New secondary schools are coming up. And also, we have also improved in terms of preschool education. I may not really speak much about the preschool education because it's a county function.
But do you see more girls enrolling in schools?
Yeah, sure. We have really gone a long way in campaigning for girls to be enrolled in schools. Quite a number of them have been enrolled. We have held several meetings with the administration, all chiefs, and especially in KMQ, Sampo Kike, where there was the highest number of girls drop out this year. And we have really sensitized our chiefs to make sure that our girls are enrolled in school, not only in KMQ Kajiado West, but we have also done quite a lot of campaigns using our women groups activities. We have talked with them, and I think going a long way in addressing the issue of FGM and early marriages, education level will have improved in this county.
I noticed though, at the end of the day in Kajiado County, women are still relegated to the back. Kibet, if you just show the camera in this front row, I don't see a single woman in the front row. I don't see well, maybe on the far end, and that was like a by the way. That's Agatha Simiti there from Maendeleo ya Wanawake, but the entire front row is just men. Is this a Maasai thing, Governor?
It could be a Maasai thing to a certain degree, but I don't think there was any restriction on where somebody sat.
I saw some women sitting earlier on in the front row, Governor. Now they're no longer there. No names mentioned.
Maybe you intimidated them and they went to the back seat. I don't think there was any restriction.
Okay.
Yes, according to our culture, most of the women are supposed to be in their homes, taking care of their children.
So why are you here?
But with
why are you here?
With the educated
Why are you here?
With the educated women, the urban areas women, they are not restricted to come, and they have information, but I guess they are also seated at the back. And when you look at the front line, these are elected members of the county assembly who are seated here, and because of that education you are talking about, and also lack of political empowerment, many women were not elected to this position who are seated here.
So are there no women in the county assembly?
They are nominated, and I believe they are here. Many of them, I'm seeing them here.
Okay.
But I don't know why they shied sitting in
Maybe
front.
like the governor said, maybe they're just afraid of me. Maybe I intimidate the women.
I don't believe so.
I think we will encourage them. We will continue encouraging them to take the front seats.
All right.
Yeah.
Speaker Johnson Osoi.
Yes.
I have a general question for you, and forgive me if I'm wrong here. I understand that the entire cabinet, if you will, the entire county assembly. What is that noise? Is that outside?
It's outside.
Is that Maasai? Okay, sorry.
We are not coming for Jeff.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
The entire county assembly, instead of choosing to live in Kajiado town, you choose to live in Kitengela. Why?
Jeff, I would like you to appreciate that the county assembly, under the law, both the constitution and other statutes, is constituted of elected members, who then means that they live amongst the people they elect, unlike the people who elected them. Unlike the National Assembly, where MPs are elected across the country and they go and live in Nairobi, the Kitengela is just but hosting 1 or 2 MCAs who live there, the speaker as well, because there is a shortage of houses in Kajiado, government houses. When we took over, Jeff, you need to know that we took up dilapidated structures. The county assembly itself was in bad shape, and therefore we had no debating chamber, neither did we have accommodation or residence for the speaker. But it is not right, it's not correct to say that the entire assembly lives in Kitengela.
But you live in Kitengela?
I do.
Any plans to move some of them here to Kajiado? Because, you know, I love the view. You saw that mountain range back there.
Yes.
Fantastic view. I would live here.
Certainly, Jeff, the issue is priorities. We took over a government, a devolved government, where our people have dire need of other things like water, medical services. So the residence for the speaker is really not a first priority, if you ask me. But obviously, with time, we will do county headquarters that will host the county government, the governor, the governor as we speak is actually squeezed in a small office. And we will do the residence of the speaker in future. But for now, the first 18 months, it was not a priority, and that is why I live in Kitengela.
Okay, speaking of priorities, Ken Leshan Sankale is tweeting in and he's saying, Governor, infrastructure. Infrastructure. What are you doing about that, speaking of priorities?
Thank you. When you talk about infrastructure, you're talking about a lot of things. Roads. You're talking about electricity. You're talking about water reticulation. First, let me say, in the last financial year, we managed to spend 237 million shillings on roads, of which 200 kilometers was gravel and grading for about 1,500. And given the kind of resources we had, that was quite something, because we have opened up quite a number of areas. For us to do 1,500 kilometers of roads opening up and 200 of gravel, I think that was quite a feat within 1 year, and that is for the last financial year. We haven't gotten to this year. We've also reticulated quite some water. People from Musenge, for example, will tell you that and that was captured actually on KTN, that we gave a lot of families water and schools in a place that was in dire need of water. We have built canals in places like Rombo, in Kimana, in several other places, in Pakase. So we have done quite a bit given the resources we have been given within one financial year. We're just beginning to roll out, and in this next financial year, you're going to see a lot of water reticulation and quite a number of other things that are related to infrastructure.
Yeah. Speaker Johnson Oleosoy, I guess the other biggest issue in Kajiado County is land, and we talked about it in the package. Land, a big issue. A lot of Maasais are actually selling off some of their land, not knowing the value. Moses Lemukol here says, many rural Kajiado people know little or nothing about land rights. Are you all aware of this, Speaker?
Yes, indeed, land is a very emotive issue. It is also technical to think or talk about land rights. The Constitution of Kenya 2010, Article 60 defines land and the various types of land. Now, looking at the issue of rights of access to land, equitable use and control of the same under the provisions of the Constitution, Kajiado has suffered quite a bit because of the proximity to Nairobi, and the population pressure from other counties neighboring Nairobi has led to people moving to Nairobi, to Kajiado. And Kajiado is a very peaceful county, cosmopolitan, and it has been a question of willing seller, willing buyer. I need to mention at this point that the Constitution divides land into three: private land, public land, and community land. Now, as a county government, we are obviously very, very concerned and would like to put policies in place to control land use and land access and land control. However, the law is very clear, and as an assembly, we cannot be the ones making legislation, and at the same time, we are the first ones to break laws. We are custodians of the law, and I want to make it very clear that the county government or any other government, both at national and county level, has very little power over private land, because every Kenyan has a right to own property, wherever it is. So, Jeff, if you owned a plot in Kajiado, for instance, as a county government, it would be very difficult, and I would be lying to the constituents of this county if I told them that we will force you to use it in a certain manner. We will legislate, and there are other arms of government National Land Commission, there is a County Land Management Board, which is established under Article 67 and given effect by the National Land Commission Act of 2012, Section 18, but that is as far as it goes. Public land, however, Jeff, is what we will look at to come up with laws and policies to define control. One of the things that we want to do on the public land or community land where the county government holds in trust on behalf of communities, because communities are defined as multicultural or ethnic groups of people, what we will do is come up with laws that will define agricultural lands and usage of the lands we hold in trust.
But you don't have a problem people coming in and buying land here, no problem?
Well, Kenya being a multi-ethnic country, we do not have a problem with people buying land in as far as we are concerned as a government or as an assembly. However, I would have a problem with conveyancing issues where people are conned of land. I have seen from the program, from the highlights, that Kajiado has suffered quite a bit, Jeff.
Yeah.
And we have had our land registry is perhaps one of the most corrupt land registries in the country.
Yes.
That is a problem I have. In fact,
don't blame the national government, though.
Yeah. There is a joke that does rounds in Kajiado, that in Kajiado, those women who are complaining, those mothers whose land has been sold by their husbands without their knowledge, are suffering because there is something called wives for hire, who hang around the land registry, and men who want to sell land would get them along to purport to be their wives and sign off the small parcels of land.
Mary Senator, is that true?
Yes, and the issue is, Jeff, the issue of land in Kajiado is a real big issue that all concerned stakeholders should come up and really discuss this. The issue of planning, I totally agree with the speaker that there is need for planning of land in Kajiado County. And I think with the county government coming up with a certain policy that can help citizens of this county to plan their land, that could really work well. Because we see people coming up with industries, others coming up with factories within residential areas. We see shops coming up, commercial areas coming up with resident areas being mixed up. So the issue is planning. And also the issue of women not being involved that is in the private lands. Women are not having, they are not sharing the title deeds with the husbands. This is the issue of property. You know, it's a big issue with some of our culture.
Sure.
So when the husband just want to sell land, they just sell land without the consultation of the wife and the rest of the families. And some of these families also are big families that share one title. And one person can just go and decide to dispose land without the consultation of the rest of the family. So it is an issue, but I think with a lot of sensitization on the usage of land and the change of user policies, I think this can work well.
Okay,
Yeah.
Governor Carlistus Chengo is asking on Twitter, I'm disappointed with the state of security in Kiserian. No police patrols are ever done. What do you tell him?
Jeff, before I go to security, which I will deal with, I would want to put in a rider on issues of land, because I think that is really important. Both what has been said by the women's rep and the speaker is fairly correct, according to me. But I actually think we have a responsibility to make sure that the way land is used, whether private or public or community, is done in a sustainable and responsible way that does not jeopardize the futures of our children. Now that buck stops at my door. whether this is private land or public land or community land, I would still hold myself accountable.
So you will push for freezing?
Now let me give you some small background. We have an anomaly because the national government controls land registration. So the registrars who was posted here are paid by Nairobi. But planning and surveying are under county government. And so they are devolved. And so we are having that mismatch. And sometimes we are not thinking in the same way, because the national government and the registrar will say, I have these instructions to issue these titles and all that. And we have our surveyors that we are telling you cannot subdivide land this way. It is irresponsible to have small plots of land all over. That's what we call land fragmentation. It is not sustainable, it is not productive, and it is irresponsible for any government. And this is a government, this is not a county council. This is a government. Under Article 6.2, it says these are two levels of government, and they are distinct and interdependent. And we consult with the national government, but they should not dictate, and nobody can dictate how we use land here. And we are going to make sure that we control. We want to make sure that we will control without undermining anybody's rights to own land anywhere, but we want to control so that we do something in a sustainable way, so we don't jeopardize the future of our children.
Okay.
Let me say something. And so as a result of that, we have from time to time placed caveats and also placed bans on land. Because we came in and found a vacuum, there was no control, and we are having mushrooming towns all over. And so we said, let us stop that so that we have a land policy in place. As we speak right now, we have a land policy that is being discussed at the Assembly, and we hope that in due course, that policy will help to give some fair direction on what goes on land matters.
What is due course? What's the timeline?
Our Assembly is very busy, but it's also very active, and I think that in the next 1 or 2 months, we should be having, at most, we should be having a land policy in place.
Okay, real quick, before we go to break, Governor, insecurity.
Security. For a start, let me say that that's a national government function, so it's not a devolved function, but it is actually unfortunate that some parts of this county are not very well taken care of in terms of security. Let me tell you one anomaly that we are facing in terms of security. We have been having a tussle between some people, some kind of thinking, where some people say, let us have Kajiado North, Ngong, Kiserian, Rongai, all the way to Kajiado West, being controlled under Nairobi. That is a huge anomaly. If you ask a question about security here, about Shompole or Kiserian, we have to consult Nairobi first so that the commander in Nairobi can say how Kiserian is and how Mosiro and Shompole is. That is a huge anomaly. And I would want to encourage other leaders who have held on to that school of thought to actually change, because it is injurious to the way we are running this county.
Okay.
However, I would want to get more details about what exactly the complainant is talking about, and I will follow up with the commander in Kajiado North.
Are you on Twitter, Governor?
I am not.
Governor, bado uko analog.
Niko digital kiasi.
On that kiasi note,
yeah.
We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with a lot more questions. And please, mulizeni maswali tafadhali. It's not my program, okay? You guys ask the questions. It's all about you guys, okay? Before we go to break, let me just read this tweet from George Allen. And George says, Machakos County government managed to do 33 kilometers of roads. What about Kajiado? Look at the state of Isinya Kiserian Road. Think about that. Yeah. Governor, think about that while we take a break. Lots more coming. We are live at the Maasai Technical Training Institute in the heart of Kajiado County. This is Sikika Sasa, kwa sababu kama si sasa. Plenty more questions after break. We'll be back in a moment.